What is going on, hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub, and this is K-Dub's High Five. 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. Today, we got another one of the favorites. He's the owner of the CardCollector2 card shop. He's a social media icon, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm sure if MySpace came back, he'd take that too. Give it up. Welcome, my dude, Ryan, aka CardCollector2. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I got something special, man. Check it. I got the 45 on today. That's for you, man.
That's awesome.
I broke it out of retirement for you. So here's how it's going to go. I got 5 questions. I'm just going to throw them at you one right after another. You can answer as long or short as you see fit. You ready to take on the high five?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, man. So here it goes. Your number one, your social media handle, your card shop, CardCollector2. How did you come up with that name?
Yeah, so back in the day, I got on a lot of the online forums, right? The blowouts, the sports card forums, Beckett forums, and on all of those platforms, it was just Card Collector, right? So blowout, I have almost 1,000 feedback on there from back in the day. And at some point, Photo Bucket started to charge for pictures, and I was, a young kid starting to hustle and was trying to save some money rather than pay that, subscription. I'm like, I'll just go on Instagram, use the link to Instagram, post it in my bio on Blowout, and I'll just, it'd be free.
Yeah.
So I got on Instagram and Card Collector was taken.
Okay.
So my lucky number growing up was always 2. So I'm just like, well, if I can't have Card Collector up, this is early, right? This is 2013.
Okay.
This is 8 years ago. So Instagram wasn't, what it is now back then.
Yeah.
So there was a lot more, availability for names and stuff like that. So went with, Card Collector, and they just added my lucky number on it, and somehow we ended up at Card Collector 2.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, nowadays you'd have to add like 8 different numbers after Card Collector, I'm sure. So right on, man. That's awesome. All right, question number 2. When you think about your hobby journey from a child until now, who have been some of your biggest influences in your hobby journey?
You say who?
Yeah, who? Yeah, people.
Jimmy is really one of the first ones that comes to mind. Kentucky basketball cards, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy and I got, I've told this story very few times, but Jimmy and I actually started talking and became friends on the day I lost another friend locally. Somebody I used to work with at one of my previous jobs had actually passed away in a car accident. The same day Jimmy and I actually became friends. The first day we actually started talking was on the same day. So it was actually kind of crazy. It's crazy to look back at it and see what our life has turned into, right? Because Jimmy and I met on Instagram, met at the National, started trade night, went to Jimmy's house, hung out there, became friends with him. He was actually in my wedding. So it's just kind of crazy to see how a friendship started on social media and then turned into something so big. But it's also crazy to think that it happened that same day. It's just it's really wild to think about. So Jimmy is certainly one of the bigger ones. Honestly, RBI Crew 7, Ryan Bannister, Andy over at Indie Card Exchange, those guys have been really big for me. Like when I first got my card shop and was, young and inexperienced, those guys really landed a helping hand and, kind of guided me on my journey. They were really instrumental in early on when I wasn't able to get product. I'm not sure I would be where I'm at today if it wasn't for, their help. My buddy Tony, Tojo Sports Cards on Instagram, we became really close. I helped consign some stuff for him. He got in a lot of my breaks early when I first got in the break game. So honestly, there's a lot of people I can mention here, but first comes to mind in terms of like some of the people that have like helped me really along the way. Those are some of the people that just really, really stand out. But again, there'd be a lot of people to name on the 16-year journey I've been on. We could sit here all day and name some people.
Absolutely, man. But you've named some absolute legends, some great dudes. Obviously, Jimmy's been on the High Five before, and just one of the best people. So, all right,
absolutely.
Let's get to the cards, man. When you think of cards being your favorite card or your dream PC card, what card or cards come to mind?
So I collect a guy from my hometown who was drafted in 2003 by the Titans, late guy that was on special teams. So when the NFL got rid of the special teams, like when they adjusted the kickoff space, so there was not as many, like there's more touchbacks.
Yeah.
His job kind of like got out there. He was more a gunner. So Donnie Nicky, he's got cards in like 3 Sage products from his rookie year. Like his 101 is like, that's my grail card, right? Just because it's 20 years old at this point, and I just feel like if somebody's got it, they've got it for a reason. But that would be like the grail of sports card collecting for me. I just don't know how realistic it is I'll ever see it in my lifetime, but that's really like I would pay a lot for this kind of card, because it would like complete my, my card collecting conquest. But in terms of like other things that are like ones that I like aspire to own, a 52 Mantle is really like, in my eyes, that is the sports card. I understand the Wagner and what that means, and I understand how iconic the Jordan 86 Fleer is, but really the 52 Mantle, especially growing up, that was really the card. So to own one of those is really kind of my next, like, hey, at some point this is the card I want to own. I think as a card collector and someone that does this for a living, that is really kind of the peak of sports card collecting, and that's the one that I've really got my eyes set on.
Absolutely. I think you and I kind of grew up in, I'm a little bit older than you, but I mean, the Mantle is the image of cards when you thought of back at Beckett, or just anyone wanting to use a image of a card, it was that card. So that would be pretty awesome to have in your collection for sure. All right, moving on from single cards to boxes. You got all the money in the world. You're got to pick one box to break. What are you breaking and why?
So there's so many choices here. I mean, 0304 Exquisite is pretty cool just because of what it is. So like the chance to be able to rip something like that. So like I know for a lot of collectors, 86, 87 Fleer would be it, because of so many guys that grew up in the 80s and the 90s. That was obviously before my time. So my time would really be like the 0304 Exquisite, again, just because the LeBron is really the modern day basketball card for my generation. But honestly, I think of something cool like, 2006 Gridiron Gear, or like something from like 06, because 06 is like, that was where my infatuation, that's when I really, really got in cards. That's where my journey began, was it like in 06. And I remember going to the card store and trading for packs of like 2006 Topps football, looking for Reggie Bush, Liner, Vince Young. And I always talk about it now when I pick up like Reggie Bush or Vince Young or Peterson or Calvin. Like, it's cool to collect those, because the younger Ryan couldn't afford those, right? Those are the cards, I aspired to own. And now, my journey's come full circle all these years later. And it's cool to be able to acquire things like that, like things that as a collector growing up, trying to, build my way up and, build something special. Those are the cards I wanted to be able to obtain and have in my collection. So being able to kind of relive my childhood where I first started, I think it would be kind of cool to do something like that. So some sort of like 06 football product, SP Authentic Contender, something like that, because that's really where my journey started.
Nice. Hey, you kind of alluded to it there, but I mean, aren't we all kind of reliving our childhood in a way? I mean, most of us got into cards when we were kids. And so older products, like for me, 95, 96, 97, that's when I was in middle school and collecting. And those are the products that I would still love to rip today, so. All right, last question here. Obviously, you are all over social media. So how do you see social media kind of positively impacting kind of your influence in the hobby, but also how do you feel social media has influenced the hobby as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, social media the attention it's brought to the market has really been a big player. Right. It was like COVID really just opened up so much, right? When you're at home, nothing to do, nowhere to go. There was so much cards, the hobby was all over social media. And when you have nowhere to go, nothing to do, I think it turned people to that. And, the hobby certainly accepted people with open arms, I think. So I think the hobby's been big for that. But repeat the first part of the question for me, like how my journey?
Yeah, how has it influenced like your hobby for you? Like the impact of social media, use of social media, like how has that benefited you as Ryan, the collector, but also as Ryan, the shop owner, as well as, you know, social media kind of guru guy?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I talk about it with my wife and, you know, my team here, like social media for cards changed my life
Yeah.
for sure. Right. I mean, I was able to, you know, document my entire journey through sports cards. Right. So when I got on it, it was just a place to post pictures. And then in time grew into something that, you know, I shared when I got engaged to my wife, when we got married, when I graduated college, when I got dogs, when we moved. Right. Like when I opened my first card, bought my first card store, and then when I moved and bought the new building and went to the National, I documented my entire journey, and people followed along for that, and it allowed us to, you know, create a website, grow a team, offer grading, buy a bigger building. Like so much of my, you know, I attribute so much to what I've been able to do in the hobby to the presence I've built on social media and the people I've been able to meet. So yeah, I mean, and I'm sure if you ask a lot of people, honestly, that are, you know, breakers or graders or, you know, major card accounts or bigger card accounts, right? I think you could ask a lot of people, and I think a lot of people would kind of tell you the same thing. It's been amazing. Like I said earlier with Jimmy, right? Jimmy was in my wedding. I mean, we met on social media, and you know, was literally a groomsman in my wedding. I mean, it's hard to talk about the impacts of social. It's hard to not talk about the impacts of the social media without, you know, mentioning that one of the best human beings I've ever met, I met through a social media app. Yeah. Where my only plan originally was to post a picture to use to trade online. It's just kind of crazy how you know it all worked out.
Yeah, well, it's amazing to hear. I mean, obviously today social media gets a lot of negative feedback, but you just shared some pretty amazing things as a result of your use of social media. So, all right, one bonus question, man, before we end here. You're on all the social medias. Do you have a favorite one that you use?
Yeah, it's always been Instagram. Instagram is where I started. Instagram like really has documented my entire journey. So Instagram for sure. Like, again, if I could do it all over, I might have been on the other ones sooner, and I might have put a little bit more effort into growing some of the other ones sooner. But each of them has their own advantages. Like there are people on Twitter that I get to, you know, talk with that aren't as big on like Instagram. It's where I found like the Buck City guys. It's where I'm a big fan of, from the outside, of like some of the guys like TJ. I like TJ. I think he's a cool dude. So there's a lot of people on Twitter that I didn't meet through Instagram, but Instagram's really where my home has been for so long. So I would definitely say Instagram.
Right on, man. All right, that concludes the high five, man. We got to give a high five here at the end. Throw up a high five. You can check out Ryan on all social medias, CardCollector2. You can also follow me if you're bored at Mr. K-Dub. Always remember, be the good in the world. Thanks so much for joining me, Ryan. And y'all take care.
This is a demo sound of freeintromusic.com.